All right, we're here. It's the one and only. It's the council. And I'm with the one and only, Jay Wonders. I mean, every time I talk to him, man, we're always exploring. One thing about it is it's never stagnant. It's never the same. It's always something new. It's always pushing to the next level. And it's fun to be able to bring you all on the journey with us because this conversation, this is going to be nice because we had a couple weeks to kind of, be in different vibrations and really explore and spend time to tap within. So we're going to have you all join us into a deep dive, something that we do generally behind the scenes. This is generally something that I couldn't put a price on it for somebody to be a part of it, but that's what we're about to do now. So welcome, Jay.
Hey, what's going on?
What's happening?
Chilling.
Awesome, bro. So we were just talking. We were catching up, and this is going to be a dialogue. This is going to be us telling you one point that we're going to touch on. This is going to be us exploring together into information that's going to really open your mind.
Right.
In any regard, whether it makes you question something, think of something differently, even if we make each other think of different things, we want you to be part of that. So, anyways, go ahead, Jay. We can catch him up to speed. So we were just talking. Jay was taking us into just tapping into the experience of, when me and him met, we were pushing really into the exploration of masculine energy.
Exactly.
And we were pushing the envelope. It was about asserting your will. It was about pushing our ideas forward. When we met, we were both at that time in our early 20s, like early 20s. I was in like my early mid 20s. He was in his early 20s. I think he had just turned damn near 20 or 21.
Right.
And, we were pushing our ideas forward. We spent so much time learning and absorbing and practicing. We had so much to give. And we pushed forward. We went to events. We had events where people would come out, listen to us talk, and we were blowing people's minds. I mean, it's asking like we were there. We were blowing people's minds, and we were blowing our own minds, and we've been pushing, and it seems as though right now it's a new frequency, and Jay, he was explaining where we left off, because he's been in the frequency of tapping into the feminine energy and everything that world has, and so I'm interested in hearing myself, I guess you could pick up from where you were. I don't want to speak for you or anything, but that's kind of just where we kind of just started off at. So continue, Jay, if wherever you...
just let me remind the audience, I guess just both of us are natural journeys through life. It's like we'll come together just so we can catch the people up that don't know about us. We'll come together and we'll really look at, maybe some lessons we read, learned, or even acknowledged through just our own experience and put it into our own words and kind of analyze the principles behind the things we've experienced. And, we come together, both of us, me and a Johnny, and we kind of elaborate on it. And I think it's such a unique lens that we do this through the following lens of communication, of learning the pickup, the pickup industry, learning the mechanics behind that, not taking it too personally, but taking whatever things that we thought worked for us in our paving of, understanding the opposite gender, understanding how that woman relates to me and how I relate to her. And it's just such an important aspect to understand that the whole idea or the whole realm of, tapping into your masculine or being a man and growing up, we always hear that term, it's time to be a man. It's what does that mean? And I personally, through my experience, have understand that wisdom and knowledge has made me to the man that I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't understand the significance of that, because then
that's deep. I mean, I don't want to jump in there, but that's deep. And remember what you're gonna say, but just real quick, I just want to say that's real, because masculine energy. See, a woman is just being a woman. That's what I realized. It's very rare that you find a woman that's studying masculine energy, that's studying how to get a man, that's studying how the world works, why it works on the level to assert themselves within it. With women, it's more so that I've noticed, is it's more so they're just experiencing and saying how they feel and observe what they're experiencing. But as a man, it's like you don't have that luxury, because you can say what you're experiencing all day, but as a man, nobody's there to comfort and nurture you and care. It's like you got to figure out what works. You have to learn information to create effects. So, especially in the game of dating and relationships. So continue, but that's really big, because that's been my experience. Like, I told that to my girl yesterday when I was talking to her. Oh, no, I was talking to my boy yesterday, and I was telling him about how I was like, look, man, about how, a lot of guys kind of marry a girl and kind of square up, and how, it can create a situation where, that I saw where, like, you can get destroyed that way. And, that's something I'll touch on a bit later, because I don't want to talk too long. But I just explained to him that no woman came and got me. No woman came and got me and showed me the way and saw my value and lifted me up.
Right.
That's what I did. I found my girl. I went smack at my girl multiple times, actually, before she got me. I showed her my world. I put her onto higher levels of information. She progressed through my guidance, but at the same time, I learned through her. But see, what I learned through her was from her just being her. Whereas for me, she learned actual skills that I had to go out, find, experience. And then we see why women like older men. So just to say, but it's that wisdom. That's definitely something that I think
and that's how deep what I said is that's all right. This is game. I'm for the audience and any male that's listening to right now. This is game. I'm gonna highlight it for you right now. We just literally, if you were listening from the beginning, we just literally transitioned to this man explaining that the reason why women like more mature, well thought men is because it's in their DNA. He just said that's how they naturally are, that they like men that know what they're doing, that have experience, that has wisdom, that has knowledge. So in the beginning, if I'm like, it's important as a man that you understand your manhood through knowledge, and then all of a sudden it came around in a circle and came back to, well, women like men that have more experience and wisdom. You see how naturally that just is a recycling of why everything connects with each other. Everything is important in a man's life. Like if a man is not constantly training his mind with better ways of thinking, and how he's moving, and what he's learning, then there's another man gaining more experience and getting more wisdom on the way he's carrying himself. And you guys might have the opportunity to both meet a really good girl, but since he has more wisdom, more experience, more knowledge, more understanding, then by nature, going back to what we didn't even get to when we first opened this call, was human nature. That's what I'm reading in the Robert Greene book, The Laws of Human Nature. And I just opened up the book, and it already is, expanding my mind on a lot of things. You get me?
Oh yeah, Robert Greene. He made one of my favorite books ever, man. Robert Greene. His books are really, really good.
And what he does is, obviously, like, there's a handful of people that are into wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. But if you're one of those key people that are seeking, and, there's times and periods where I'm chilling. Like, I don't study nothing. I'm not saying that I'm, like, in the books all the time. But that doesn't mean I'm not, like, on point with myself. I'm always constantly seeing what other successful people have read or have looked at, or what inspired them, because what we start to see is the mind, thoughts. There's certain reason why people become great, and it all starts with a thought.
Yeah, fact.
All starts with a thought.
Yeah,
it doesn't start when they already manifested whatever thing they manifested. You get it?
Mm-hmm.
Like it all starts with a bunch of ideas that eventually solidified into reality.
That's facts.
So when we go into this Robert Greene book, I was telling Johnny how I just been really tapping into the masculine of what we've been trying to tap into for years, and that's through the seduction community, the pickup community, spirituality, just my own experience, my environment, and just really putting my energy out there. But now I'm tapping into something different, and I guess it's like we could call it male and female, because like we would say male is more like breaking barriers, being abundant, pushing through, growing forward. Yeah, going forward and being erect. And I always compared, the energy to like sex. It's like sex, you feel me?
Yeah, it's like feminine energy is like pulling you in, and masculine energy is like pushing forward. They're both forces, but one's trying to pull you to them, whereas the other is trying to move toward you. That just triggered that in my mind when you just said it a certain way.
And even if we see it in gay people, people that are homosexual, it's like you don't see two energies just pushing out most of the time.
Yeah, it's still a flow.
There's still the laws of, that one has a little bit more masculine energy pushing forward, and then that one has a more receptive energy being the one that's receiving. So it's like even when two people are male, the energies are still playing back and forth, or two females, whatever the case may be. And it's also obviously happening with even heterosexual people. You can see it happening with a male and a woman with a male. And sometimes they're not even playing the right role. That's the funny part.
Oh, yeah, I see that all the time. I mean, man. Oh, yeah.
People like to judge, gay people. But I'm like, within your own relationship, y'all not even playing the right role. And both of y'all heterosexual.
Yeah. And I'm like, man, a lot of the women are in the masculine role right now in relationships, period. And not even in relationships, just the way they carry the whole dating and relationship dynamic.
Yes. And, this is something that is new and we haven't seen in society, because it's like, and honestly, males don't know what to do. And the funny thing is, like, males put themselves in this predicament. But again, whose fault is it? It's not women's fault. It's the guy's fault. And talking about the female male energy, what I kind of been tapping into is actually total opposite of what I'm saying right now. And it's kind of playing that role where I'm becoming the observer more and more and more and more. And what's funny about becoming the observer instead of the one being observed is I get different ways of broadening of how to act in a situation, how to react to something, how to act upon something that has happened in my reality. You get what I'm saying?
Interesting.
So that's something I've been tapping into, but in order for me to tap into that, it's harder for me because I'm always the one trying to be observed instead of the one being the observer.
I see. So that's rich. You're saying that's more of a feminine energy thing, really, is the multiple ways of how to react versus focusing solely on being ahead, being first, being the one in control. Yeah, that's absolutely right. That's a great point because, to be honest, my archetype that I naturally have growing up was always, and to this day, honestly, is more of an observer. But there's pros and cons to that because I realized.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, there's pros and cons.
And that's why I didn't want to label it as a female energy.
Yeah, I would say that's female energy. I would say that.
But people would label it as that. But also, there's stuff that is not technically quote unquote male energy because any sex can do it. But then we push it towards male because of the ideas that surround, that male energy
Yeah,
expansion.
That from my experience, that really is a feminine energy, and I would say it from a vibrationally, from my experience as an observer, I noticed that people don't really care. Like, people take the observer for granted, to be honest. You don't really notice it.
Exactly.
But when you're the observer, and it's not really, for granted is one way to put it, but it's more so, it's the yin, it's the feminine, so it's more hidden, meaning it's not as noticed, but it's the skill that's not noticed.
Right.
So it's like, if you're the person that's more the observer and the one noticing everything, a lot of the time you're like a fly on the wall. People don't really value your perspective as much as the person that's exhibiting the masculine traits of
exactly
being decisive, saying what they think all the time. Because you as an observer, there's not a lot of space for you to project yourself in, because there's already masculine energy doing that. And it's like, and those were some of the things that sometimes would make, well, personally, there were times where I felt like, okay, I can't, I gotta, like, sometimes I'll be like, all right, look, I've been listening to these people, but now I'm about to base. Like, now I just gotta tell people what the fuck I think. Because I'm like, I gotta tap back into masculine energy, because they don't get feminine energy. They don't respect it. And that's when you have to tap into that other side.
Yeah.
Like, that makes me think of women. Like, I feel like women took on that energy for years, and now they're in a space where they're they're kind of doing too much of the masculine energy side, from what I've seen in the Western side of things. Maybe not too much, because that's just perspective, that's subjective. But what I do know is they're in that energy more of like, well, this is what we think, we don't care about, and now they're more so in that space, which is pushing men to now have to tap into the feminine energy side, where they're kind of having to, because they're like, well, my marriage can't last, or my I can't just go at my job and say what I used to say, what I think, because I can get fired if I say the wrong thing. So I have to be more my feminine energy. I have to be more aware. I can't just come off the cuff like the men of the 70s and 80s might have done, or even the 90s. Like, when I watch 90s movies or anything like that, I'm like, man, half the stuff they're doing in this movie would be banned from TV in 2022. And back then it was just funny. So that's something that you just triggered that I just thought about. But continue, man. That's very interesting.
That's well said, well put. Because what starts to pop in my mind is simply the idea that, I just lost my thought. Hold on. It's simply the idea that
you were tapping into the feminine energy. You were tapping into how.
Oh,
the observer. Mm-hmm.
Being more the observer and that feminine energy. And what's funny about that is that, a lot of men, they have got in that position of not needing to ever do that.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say not do that, is because they have that power over the woman's survival.
Mm.
So if you have power over someone's survival, and let's give an extreme example. Imagine having somebody locked up in your basement.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be that's extreme survival. So then, no matter what you say, as my as the person holding me hostage, no matter what you say, what you do, I have to agree to everything, because if not, I will not survive. I won't get fed.
Hostage, essentially, they depend on you for their survival. So it's almost like somebody in jail. Like, they take the most masculine energy men, and the way they punish them is putting them in the most submissive position, which is you can't even use the bathroom out of this cage. You can't do anything without our permission.
Whatever I say goes. And the crazy part is, no matter how you feel about it, you still have to be here because you depend on me. So it's like it's like you're relying on me. You have to rely on me at this point. So what I'm seeing is the male not having that power anymore. And now running around with like chickens with their head off, because the woman can say, well, I don't want to live with you anymore. And boom, she has a job now. She has support system. She can take care of herself now. So then what happens to a bunch of males that the one thing they had over women was survival is removed out of them. Now all they have left is their masculinity and game.
Mhm.
And if you want to get more deeper, their guidance, their knowledge, their wisdom, their understanding. So if that's left with the man and that's the only thing he can quote unquote use to attract women, well, guess what? Let's look around us and be like, how many men are personality wise attractive? Not a lot. There's not a lot of men that actually have great personalities and that are attractive. And when I say attractive, I mean with the masculinity part in it.
Yeah,
I don't
like
mean
to a woman, man.
not attractive like you're a friendly goody two shoes, the guy Bob down the street that's so nice and no girl wants to, sleep with him or even look at him like that. I'm talking about like, are you attractive? Like, yo, you walk anywhere and there's at least like 2 girls that are interested in you because of your energy, how you carry yourself, the way you are. But continue.
No, that's so interesting because I just saw an article today that I just sent to my homie, and it was it was like this thing showing how Tinder, how basically on Tinder, like, and how 30% of men right now between ages 18 to 30 haven't had sex, like they haven't had sex in like years, and how but yet women still have the same sexual rates that they had from back in the day, meaning we have apps like Tinder and all of these apps where you would think if there's more dating apps, there's more people being connected, there should be more sex for men, but really there's 20% decrease in the amount of sex men are having. But the reason why though is they're saying that the 90% of women essentially are going after the top males. It goes back to the 90-10 rule.
Exactly.
10% of the guys get 90% of the women, but when it comes, because women get all of these matches, so it causes them to be like, well, I'm just going to talk to the best of my matches. Whereas for guys, women are so selective. That men, if you're not in that top 10%, I mean, already, they said that 80% or like there's a strong percentage of women that go on Hinge, for example, like that's a dating app, and they automatically set the height to 6 foot or taller, which now already leaves out 90% of men because because that's unreasonable. You know what I mean? Because that's not average height. So
I'm not even close to that. Shit.
Exactly. See, so
on the data, if we're going straight by data, I'm fucked. I'm fucked.
Fact.
And that's a sad reality to a young man that say is like 15 years old and he's like, dang, I can't wait to be an adult because, I'm going to have that freedom. I'm going to be able to have sex with the girl of my dreams. And then based off the data, I'm looking at it and I'm going, well, this is like raw data. This is coming from people making decisions off the internet with no repercussions.
Exactly.
And this is what they want.
Exactly. And it's very interesting. It's very interesting because it's a dual side to it. On one side, women are weeding out so many. Whereas before, as he explained, before these apps and before this kind of thing, there might have been a guy that she wasn't initially attracted to, but there's attractive things that he would display in his energy and his personality that would then trigger her attraction. But with the way that things are now, with the app like Tinder or these apps, for example, it's just strictly the physical things, which then weeds out so many people. And you start to realize that women are way more picky than men are on the average, And so that is kind of,
you're right. Yes.
Really interesting. But they are. I can say that from my experience, big time.
Yeah. No, you're right. It's so funny that you say that because when I first started to dive deep into relationship, pickup, just all this stuff, one thing that I would always read is like, men are more picky in reality because, we just like certain type of girl. Because we go based off looks, and then they would say like girls are less picky, which is true. But then from the perspective you're talking about, that is more true Girls are
Yeah.
actually so picky that they only want the best, and
Yeah.
whatever that best is in the moment for them.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys, if they hear this, they'll feel butthurt. They'll be like, "Damn, like, what if I don't even see myself as like the coolest guy on the block? I don't see I don't see myself as the best, the potential, et cetera, all the stuff that we go through as a male every day, and going, damn, I don't have what it takes to be X, Y, Z, do X, Y, Z. And even some males, if you think about it, like they don't even, if you want to get to the dark side of human nature, like some males really don't believe that they're valuable enough to have sex.
No, that's
like,
fact. Yeah.
You get me? Like to
even the
sleep
black
with a
pill,
woman.
Have you heard of the black pill?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, the black pill is, and somebody put me onto it about like a year or 2 years ago. But it's basically
the black pill.
Yeah, it's called the black pill.
Oh yeah. I heard about it. Yeah.
Where
it's
like they really just they really believe that pretty much, man. If you don't have that, it's really based on looks, and how if you don't fit a certain criteria for women, you essentially you're just not going to get sex. You're not going to get chosen. So if you don't have a certain jawline, if you don't have a certain height, it's like you're wasting your time even trying to figure out how to get a girl, because you're wasting your time, because women, unless you get money and essentially just trick off, now you're just a resource. That's why they're having sex with you. But when we talk about primal sexual attraction, women don't give that to men unless they're that guy that looks a certain way and has that certain archetype, and they basically stick to that sticking point. So just want to throw that out there. There's a whole community of men that will literally tell you it's like you're wasting your time even trying to do anything. It's just these.
And those are very off balance males.
Yeah.
Those are males. I feel like those are males that read too much of the nature aspect, and then didn't know like there's a whole mind and a whole spiritual essence to the whole game as well.
Mhm.
You get me?
Mhm. Exactly.
And when you tap into the mind and the whole spiritual essence part of the game, in my experience, you will always win over the physical.
Mhm.
Because there's a lot of girls like I hope she doesn't hear this video, because she's a good friend of mine. But honestly, I measure my reality. I don't know if a lot of people do that, but like I like to measure, the things that happen to me and why they happen. And that always brings me closer to truth, or a better way to maneuver in life and to win. And I think every male should have that that principle, like, okay, know why you caused what. You get me?
Yeah, exactly.
That's logic.
Mhm.
Because you're gonna need that in a relationship to run a family, to live for yourself. So, I measure the when girls become attracted to me, and I'll also understand when they're not. And there's this girl that works at my job, and she was just not even attracted to me. There was no idea of her being attracted to me. There was no thought there. And then over time, I even overheard her like, "Yeah, I never looked at you as like a sexual object or anything. Not a sexual object, but a sexual, like, anything attractive."
Yeah.
You get me?
Like a potential option.
Yeah, a potential option. Never that. Like, that would never cross her mind. And just last week, she was just like, "Bro, I'm not gonna lie. If I could sleep with anyone, it would be you and this other guy." And that's happened over months, though.
Yeah,
you get me?
So interesting.
Like,
yeah, that's very interesting.
That happened over months, and I'm glad we're talking about this, because understand, like, for me, I understand two levels of game. You have very direct, very in the moment, very animalistic, very you fucking and you're leaving. I know that aspect of the reality of men and women. and then I understand the other one, which is like slow game. I'm talking about like you're working with this person, or you guys go to school, and that long-term game is so potent. And I personally think it's way more potent in all aspects versus that short, quick one, because you're literally implementing your identity in someone's life. And when you sit down and you take your time to paint that perfect, and when I say perfect picture, it's not being a fucking how do I say it? It's not being a false dude, a dude that's not really who he says he is. It's not being an imposter. But when you paint that right picture for someone, and it's genuine and it's real, and you implement that over time on someone, they have no other option but to fuck with you. Maybe it may not be to the point where y'all become like married and longtime partners or whatever, but to the point where you become an option. And to be able to pull that off, I think you need to be aware of what is inside game, what makes it the rules, and what makes it like a lifestyle versus something you're doing like an act.
Yeah, that's very interesting because, you know, it's funny because it made me think some guys do the opposite, and I've been in that scenario before early in the game where you come in and you got what she wants off rip. You know, you might step into the job first day, she might see you, might see the perfect look she wants, and she's all on board. But then, you know, after a couple of weeks, you might say the wrong thing. She might have seen you and imagined this guy that was masculine and suave and laid back. And you might be playful, you might be goofy, you might be soft, you might be real empathetic. You know, she might be like, oh, okay, he's not what I thought he was. And then it just goes womp. Then somebody else, she's not checking for him in the beginning. She's like, oh, he's not my type. But he's demonstrating masculinity, certainty. She see him over time carry himself a certain way, and then next thing you know, after a month or so, she's like, okay, I want that guy. I've been there. I remember I worked at a restaurant, man. It was this one dude, bro. It was this El Salvadorian dude, bro. He didn't even have his green card. But my man came out here. He was off the grid, but this was my boy. And bro, he was in the cut. He was a busser. He wasn't even a waiter, bro. He was a busser. And early on, you know, all the waiters had different status and blah, 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 and all the girls were just picking who they wanted to talk to. But after that first, I'd say 6 months, when everything died down and everybody was like, all right, whatever, this dude, bro, the busser that was in the cut, you know, bro, he's just crushing everything in there. I'm talking about the manager wanted to smash. He hit the most baddest joint in the back, the cook joint. He hit the host. He hit there was all different races. He was a Salvadorian dude. He hit he hit a redhead bad waitress. He hit the host was this black joint with the whip body, and he had him a badass Spanish joint in the cook. She was a cook in the back. And bro, he was everything wanted him, and everybody's sitting there thinking, you know, just like, bro, what the hell is he doing? He just coming seeming like a normal dude, but it's something he was doing that was triggering that in all of these women. He was wanted. It's something he had figured out. And that's probably what a lot of you guys feel like or have felt like when you're wondering, damn, why is this dude getting all the attention right now? And I'm the one who got the look for the car, or I'm the one who's the manager, or I'm the one who has the higher position. Why are they going towards this dude? And that just makes me think of, over time, he built that. That's the game he brought to the table. He made the girls think like, what's good with him? The way he carries himself, I don't know. Like, I'm curious about him. So that's just something that's really interesting that you just made me think of, man.
So, you know, when we start to tap into that, that's why it's funny, because in the beginning we were kind of talking about someone being a natural, where they just have that natural ability to walk wherever they want, however they want, and get whatever they want. Not a lot of men experience that. That's a percentage of men that have that reality. And to even be aware and to I would call it, start to understand the algorithm of human behavior. That's one of the aspects of it, is understanding that there's a percentage of females that have an experience that only that percentage will have, and then there's the majority. There's an in-between. Because, like, say if you grew in a super rich family, You know, that's just by chance. And you had everything you ever needed, and plus more, and plus expensive. Anything you desired. You're about to have a whole different reality than any other person.
Yeah.
You get me?
Yeah.
Versus, say you're like the average person that doesn't have much and, you know, kind of struggling on your way, whether it be bills or something to eat. You get me? More people can relate to you on that aspect than the rich person.
Exactly.
And there's aspects of you know, sexual dynamics where there's I'm talking about dimes. I'm a woman that's been stunning since she was a young girl, and everyone used to treat her like a princess from Narnia or something, you know. And then there's also been a male that has had that experience too, just by nature. He just knew, just him being him, what things he can do to manipulate his environment. And a lot of males don't have that naturally. I feel like either you understand it, and that's just, you know, you naturally having it, just being you, the brain you have, and your personality type, you know, how you kind of grew up will definitely add some tweaks here and there. But then a lot of males don't have that aspect in them that has to do with, how do I get a woman? How do I attract the girl I want? How do I keep her? What things should I show her in my beingness that will keep her attracted? Like, these are some things that guys will never ask themselves if they don't have it.
Exactly.
And the thing about that is, it's kind of sad, because guess what? These women in today are only choosing from that ranking, from that level of hot or cold. How are you presenting yourself? Who are you? Are you manly? Are you manly enough for me? And then that's where you will have a guy with the lowest self-esteem be like, damn, I don't even perceive myself as masculine as I do. There's no way I can have sex with a girl. And I would hate for any man to have that experience from here on until you die, because that's a horrible way to live as a man, when your whole energy is the total opposite. Your whole energy is literally the definition of an erect, you know, like an erect penis. Like that, it's just straightforward, being you and not giving a fuck sometimes. And that energy is hidden. But what's so funny is I've been tapping to the other energy, which is the one I'm not, or I haven't tried to be in a while, if that makes sense. Which is like the more observer energy. You get me?
More of the receiver,
and
more
opening. Yep, more the receiver, hearing ideas. Even maybe I will insert my thought or my idea within after 2 explanations, and now I'm just waiting maybe for the 8th explanation, and then I'll insert my thought.
Yeah, it's like you're more malleable. You know, you're not trying to assert as much. It's more of a malleable mindset, whereas the stiff one perspective is your common man's man thing. Like when you think of your father or that masculine type, it's like, I don't really want to hear, you know, I got a Jamaican stepdad, man. He's very much masculine energy, naturally very masculine energy, very this is what I think, I'm putting it out there. You know, very hard to change my perspective. I don't really care as much what you think unless it agrees with mine. Not in a rude way, but it's just what he is. It's like, bro, I just say what I think. I just say what I feel. It's just you deal with it. Like, you know, and he likes people the same way. I want you to tell me what you think. And we just go to battle. But it's like, you know,
not everyone operates like that.
Yeah, exactly. It's 2 forces hitting each other, so it can become very polarizing, because what happens if we don't agree? You know?
Right.
Can
he take it to that level?
Yeah.
Can he take it
now
to that level?
Each other's perspective. This is what I think. 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 Now what are we doing? Now it becomes a argument. It builds tension. There's nobody to say, okay, well, I can see that perspective. Just here's this perspective that's more feminine, even how it's coming off. You know, it's not as much certainty. But see, certainty, he's certain of what he's saying. That's masculine energy. This is what I think. This is what I know. Well, I know that you're saying that, but here's another perspective to keep in mind. But that's feminine. See, but the only way you can have a good conversation amongst two people is if one of the parties are able to be malleable, you know?
Right, exactly.
But then there's a point in time where if both parties are malleable, and well, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I see what you're saying too. Well, then it's like, but nobody's going anywhere sometimes, so it's stuck. It's like, okay, but what are we about to do? All right, well, look, this is what we should do. And in relationships or dating, guys can find themselves on one side or the other. And one thing that I've noticed with a lot of the women I've talked to lately, and not all the women, but a lot of them, is that they're the ones that's certain, and they don't really want to hear nothing that's going to challenge how they view things. Like, tell a feminist, the everyday feminist, that, a contradictory idea to what feminism pushes forward. And it's very rare, from my experience, that a feminist would be, oh, that's very interesting. Well, let me see. I mean, I do get that perspective, but no. You say your perspective a lot of the time, and it feels like an attack. It feels like a, hold on. Well, what does that mean? It's like, this is what feminism is. If you don't agree with it, then what is wrong with you? You must, no. And you see it's very assertive. It's very, this is what it is. Men are oppressed. Men, and whether, and whoever takes on that persona is going to be more of the masculine, but with that, it's an imbalance. But, you just that's something to think about. Because in relationships, I feel like that's the battle of all relationships, to be quite honest, is that somebody's taking on the masculine energy and somebody's, honing on to the feminine energy. But where it goes wrong in a lot of cases, or where it's difficult, is what happens when your woman wants to own the masculine energy role. When she says, we both can cook. Well, we both can, say our perspective. Well, we both can date other people if we're going to be open. It shouldn't be just one. It's like, okay, so now you're stating things as they are. So if I state things, so now I have to be more malleable, which means that you're actually taking on the masculine role. Right. Or else if I take on the masculine role and say, well, no, that's not how it works, now we disagree. So now it's two masculine energies opposing. In my personal experience, and this is some game for the guys listening, but it's still something to think about. I'm not, but this, I'm just saying anyway, it's coming to mind is, I've noticed, and this is something that what I've noticed, and this is something I noticed with Patrice the comedian. If you ever watched the Black Phillip show, you got to watch Patrice debate women. You got to watch Patrice O'Neal, the comedian, debate women, because I'm telling you, that did so much to my game. I mean, he was one of the first people that I actually studied in that about when it came to anything about dealing with women, bro. Like, before I learned about any pickup, before any of the higher level game that I learned from other people, Patrice was at the very early stage of that, because he was a comedian and I recognized him from like a couple shows before. Like, so I was like, it was like entertainment at the time, more so than game, but it was like learning through entertainment. Long story short, what he did was he out-masculined them, meaning he didn't get emotional or get mad or get in an argument. He out-logicked them. And that's the only way the woman would submit. Because if you try to do it in any other way, that what are you going to do, by brute force? No, that's like being oppressive. What are you going to do? You're going to argue with them? No, that's just going to make you all repel one another. So how do you debate a woman in a way where she can become attracted to you after and actually want to get back into her feminine energy and allow you to keep going? And what he did, and what he was brilliant at, and what I would tell anybody, watch Patrice O'Neal debate a woman. Type in Patrice O'Neal versus woman, and you'll find videos on it. He debated any woman about his philosophies. He out-logicked them. And I noticed that in my relationship. I have to out-logic my girl. I can't out-emotion her. I can't do it. I can't try to appease to emotion. I can't try to appease to some overall ideal. No, I have to have the logic to where she says, damn, that actually makes more sense. That's the only way. But see, the reason why is it's logic, right? If she's not going to bend, you're not going to bend. So that's how men deal with it. If me and you have a debate, the only way we're going to come to an ending is this. Who has the more, we might say, all right, bro, what do you think? All right, LeBron versus Michael Jordan, who's better? People are men the way we think. Okay, let's see the logic. Well, look, bro, I'm not gonna lie. LeBron's definitely nice, but I give it to Jordan because of X, Y, Z. He got 6 rings. LeBron got 4. He did it with no help or whatever you want to say. But it's a logical-based thing that will make the other party submit. But I think where men have failed, and you start to realize a lot of men are actually more in their feminine, is that they explode and get abusive, or they might, because they can't out-logic their girl, they're just going to slap her. Or because they can't out-logic their girl, they're going to try to appeal to the emotion and get mad or complain or give her a low blow, right? So, you know, a lot of what's going on is that the logic, there's not enough logic that men have to be able to maintain, because you got to realize women are emotionally intelligent. So they can beat you in an argument. You tell a girl, I think I should talk to other girls. What's she going to say? She's going to say, well, if you can talk to other girls, then I should be able to talk to other guys. Boom. At that moment, what is your logic? See, most dudes run out right there. I mean, what do you mean? I mean, but guys have, so then you might have a dude, you might have a dude who has level 1 game. You might say, well, a key that, you can, a key that unlocks a lot of doors is a good key. A door lock that everyone can open is a bad key. That's level 1. She goes, okay.
She gonna look at you.
Right? She's like, okay, but that's a door, right? Like, okay, so if that's the case, but I just don't understand because I still have sexual desires. Okay. But if you still have sexual desires, and I still have sexual desires, then I'm saying I'm still masculine energy. I get a thrill from fucking with it. Well, I get a thrill too. Yo, I had to take let me get to my dance logic in that question. I threw this at my girl one time back in the day. Right? I was like this. I was like, but see, everything y'all do, see, you're giving me an answer based on what I'm doing. So you're reactive. See, you never came to me from you never came to me
exactly. You
want to get married. You want one dude. I presented it to you. You're just saying it in response to me. She then says, well, good. I mean, you said already that her point is always like you're reactive. You're just trying to up me. See, you might want to talk to other guys, but that's not something that you're pushing forward on the front end.
Exactly.
I push that forward on the front end. I can't say, hey, bro, you're going to have to pay me $5,000 to do this. Well, you're going to have to pay me $5,000. No. You didn't think of it first. So you can't steal my idea. Like that's what. So now you're just being reactive. Beyond that, so it goes, well, I still have desires too. I said, well, no, it's different. And this is all you got to say. I'm like, I talk to women. And you know what my experience is when it comes to women and sexuality? My experience is women be trying to not get fucked. Like they try their hardest.
Exactly.
And if you look at
that's a great fucking comeback. That's a great analogy. Everything you're saying is on fire right now.
You feel me? It was, and I'm just telling y'all this because this is like our life, like, bro, this came from experience because I had spent a week. Look, my girl, this was like a minute back, but my girl had went on a vacation for a week, so I'm like, fuck it, bro, I got the week, she already knows that I could talk to joints, so I'm talking to joints, all right, let me get a joint to come through the crib, you know what I'm saying, fucking rock out, talking to joints, just to see, it was an experiment, because I wasn't really pressed to fuck with anything, I was like, let me see if I can get a joint to the crib now, so I'm talking to joints, boom, boom. And they are actively trying to get taken on dates. They're actively trying to not rush to get to the crib. They're trying to be like, oh, well, maybe we can meet here. And I'm like, wow, it was a science experiment for me. I was like, wow, this is great. Because I had 10 girls on my line, and they're all on the same frequency. I know they're attracted to me. I had a few of them like on the FaceTime, like, damn, I'm feeling wet as hell right now, just off of talking to me. So if a woman goes to you and asks, well, I want to talk to girls too, why can't I? I'd be like, look, so if it's like that, then why did these girls not come to the crib? How come when I tried to get you wanted to be courted, right?
Right.
But then you're telling me you want to fuck with other guys too? See, me, I'm trying to get you to come to the crib and fuck. See, if you were thinking like how I was thinking, bro, we'd be smashing, every guy out here would be smashing girls all the time. If women thought like how we thought,
it would be no problem. Yep.
There would be no problem.
There
would be no 30% of men aren't having sex because women would be like, hey, excuse me, what's your name? My name's Robert. Look, I thought you was really attractive.
So some girls would be like, well, because you guys slut shame. Actually, no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, no. You know how many guys out there, bro, that I've talked to and dealt with where if a dude never approached a woman and just was living his life, bro, you will not get laid. Like, unless you're walking around looking like the man and naturally doing attractive things that you don't even know you're doing, which is the only way it works, or that's what a natural is, then, bro, you can go a whole 10 years not getting no cooch if you just go to work, come home, go to work, come home. A woman,
exactly.
If she's attracted, she can go to work, come home every day, and some dude's at some point interrupt her path home and go smack to try to fuck.
Yep.
So that argument, when we take it to further levels, she gonna sit there and be like, oh shit. Now I'm not being subjugated and forced into having to agree with this man, because now that's what I think a lot of dudes back in the day did. That was messed up. But now she has to deal with, like, damn, this motherfucker, I actually have to now be malleable because he beat me in the argument. Now, some women, don't get me wrong, are so stiff. They are not going to rock regardless. They want to live in delusion. They'll say, oh, I don't want to.
Exactly. That's a good.
But at that point,
that's good.
At that point, you now know, look, she still isn't her feminine at that point because she got emotional. So we just touched on this point because we're talking about masculine and feminine energy. And here's the thing that's so tough. The average dude, I don't expect him to be able to take it that deep. Because, come on, we're in a society that doesn't give you the tools to be able to take it to that point. So the average guy is like, look, bro, after level 1, you tap out and you say, look, she got it. And in that mode, you have to take on that. You have to take on that feminine role, but it's not from a place of exploration. Like for Jay, for example, he's tapping into that energy because he has been so comfortable in the ability of the masculine.
Oh, I'm glad you brought
this
up.
Bro,
I'm so glad you brought this up.
So it's so interesting, and I guess you continue with what you say. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, bro, I'm so glad you brought that up. You said something so significant. You said, the only reason I'm tapping into this on purpose is because I've been tapping into the other for so long.
Yeah.
But this is the point. If you guys have been listening and understanding exactly what we've been talking about, majority of men don't have that experience I was talking about. I was already tapping into. If you are a male that have not had that experience in abundance with women, and
having
when
your
I mean
way,
abundance,
speaking your truth.
I mean having your way. I do not mean you're banging a bunch of chicks. That's not what I mean. I'm talking about having your way. Because there's a difference. For me personally, and I'll say this to the world, like, I'm not here trying to bang a bunch of chicks, but I understand the potency of how the quality chicks I could get to be receptive to me. I'll say that.
Yeah.
So if I'm out here and I know, Brittany, Jennifer, and Mariah want to bang me, but I'm not banging them, that's different than a man that's trying to get a girl and not getting any. And then talking about you get girls. Nah, there's a difference.
Yeah, he's doing the opposite. He's trying to bang Mariah. He's trying to bang all of them. And they're not trying to bang
exactly. And they're not. There's a difference. And then I understand the guys that do want to do that, and they do all that. But that's just not me. But I understand that.
There's a time and a place, though. That's
right. There's a time and place.
I do believe there's a beauty in something that I think me personally, I think every man should have an experience. And that's something that shout out to Patrice, man. I gotta shout him out, man. She said, every man has a period where they gotta be a womanizer. But what that means is there has to be a period in your life where you experience a lot of women, because what it does for you is it really opens up a different space in your mind. It's a certain level of masculine energy. But see, you don't just become a womanizer. You don't just have a lot of women, because womanizer has a bad connotation. But you don't just have a lot of women by being a brute masculine energy force. You actually have a lot of women by really tapping into masculine energy and having a touch of feminine energy in there. It's a nice balance. And when you deal with a lot of women at a period of time, what it does for you is it gives you the tools to be able to, because look at it like this. If you can't control
if you can get a lot of women to do something, then it makes it that much easier to get one girl to do something. If you can't get one girl to do something, how are you gonna get any girl to do anything?
Exactly.
You know, when you're dealing with a lot of women, with men, with us, it's very much about skill. And that's what I was.
And honest, and I can hear a lot of men be like, "Yo, I take offense to that. You should be telling women to do nothing." I'm like, well, if you're a heterosexual man and you want to deal with a woman, you need to have that aspect of yourself. I'm not saying being a whole dickhead and carrying yourself like that, but there's a form of authority you should have over your own life, and also authority over, you know, your relationship. And so does she. And so does she.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You feel me? There's a form of authority a woman should have over a male in her relationship with him. Like, she's like, hey, you're treating me like some shit, or I think, you know, what you're doing is making me feel bad, and you don't know how to express that in your relationship with the male you're with, then you're not in a relationship.
Exactly.
And versus, and with the male too.
Yeah, no, that's facts.
And with the male too.
Yeah, no, that's facts. Because what's being breeded in our society is this. They're trying to breed, from my perspective, they're trying to breed a relationship dynamic where both parties are operating in feminine energy together, right? It's almost like they're trying to have a woman-woman relationship. Like, women want the average guy, the average woman you talk to, low-key, wants the average guy to be a man but operate like a woman communication-wise. Oh, I want you to understand me. I want us to do things. I want us to go on boat trips. I want us to talk about things. I want us to explore our desires. I want to go on a date. I want to go to this fancy place. This is all woman shit. Like, this is shit women would want to do together. Like, when women go together, they want to travel. They want to dress up and take cute pictures. Like, yeah, can we wear matching outfits? My fucking girl asked me. She's like, yeah, can out like same color outfits and shit. I'm like, how do you even fucking think of this shit? Like, my masculine brain, that wouldn't even cross my fucking mind. Like, oh, me and my girl, we're fucking blue for this fucking outfit. Like, what?
Right.
Like, for me to be like, wow, baby, that's so cool. Like, let me see. Like, fucking girl. Like, I'm not going down that path. Like, I could try. I could meet you halfway. Like,
I could meet you halfway. Like, if we got some matching Jordans or something.
Yeah.
But yo said he's mine and I'm hers. You know those shirts?
yeah, exactly. Like, oh my god. And you see dudes doing that. You see dudes with their fucking, and the minute that's happening, bro, the homie's turning into a beta bitch, and it's okay.
Right, and they don't have any authority over their own selves anymore.
Hell yeah, they're just kissy lovey-dovey with their girl. Yeah, we're going on vacation, bro. They're taking lovey-dovey pictures. This is what happens when your girl got you on straight feminine energy time. But, bro, you need to be, like, now at the same time, you don't want to be the extreme of, like, no, nothing, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not trying to do none of that, because it's like, damn, you can't, like, we don't do nothing. You know, it's like, you know, even though that's some gangster shit, but you do that too long, and she just feels like everything she throws at you're too masculine. It's like she can't even, you know, it's like you're turning her into a dude. And I know guys like that. I know dudes that deal with their girl. Some of them are teachers that I know of that fucking have where their girl essentially has no brain. Their girl does only what the fuck they say. And when that happens now you're creating a fucking all masculine dominant world, which then makes you essentially like a baby Hitler in the sense of everybody has to be one thing. If you're not one thing, you can't be, you know, we can't operate. And that means you're so unmalleable, you're just like neurotic. Like, that's what you would call a control. That's what you call somebody that isn't balanced. It's domination. It's slavery. It's essentially.
Wouldn't that be the aspect of narcissism?
Absolutely. You know, narcissism is pretty much my way or the highway. You know, they can adapt with you as long as it fits what they feel is adaptable. But it's very one-sided. It's not an art form anymore. See, an art form is I'm going to take my pen, I'm going to take my coloring stick, and or my marker, and I'm going to draw what comes to my heart. A totalitarianship is when you say you can only draw this one picture. It's like North Korea. Like, you can only draw the
whatever King Jong-un, whoever the fucking king of the place is, you can only draw him in this specific way.
Right.
If you try to draw a cartoon picture of, like in America, you can draw Joe Biden with him looking funny. You can draw him with him looking like that. You have the freedom to draw him however you want, and that's your freedom as an artist. But in some countries, the totalitarianship, they might see the picture and be like, no, you make him look silly. We're going to chop your fucking head off. Because you don't have the freedom of expression unless it's done in this specific masculine, objective way. And that is the imbalance. And that's what I loved about what I brought up with Patrice. It was never, if I'm going to get you to submit to me, I want it to be righteously, and it's not going to be from me saying, you have to do this or I'm this. No, it's, okay, let's have the art form of conversation, and let's see.
Yes, let's see
who wins the conversation. I bring my ideas, you bring your ideas, and we'll let the art spill out and see who has the best perspective. And that's essentially what we try to exemplify with democracy. I have my own ideas on democracy. This isn't a political thing, so I'm not even trying to go there. But that is what that is what is opened up. It's, you want to choose the president because they, even though I don't even want to deal with that anyways. But you choose the president hypothetically because of who presented the best argument. Now, in our democracy, of course, they only give you two sides, so it's the illusion of choice because you can only pick two people, which is Republicans or Democrats. But even though they're independents, but nobody ever votes for the independents, right? If it was a real democracy, it would be fucking 10 people, and you just pick out of the 10 people who's bringing the best point. It doesn't matter whether you're a Democrat or Republican. It just matters who's bringing the best solutions, regardless of affiliation. That's like ultimate democracy, and that is what you want in a relationship. They went from your parents picking who your wife or husband is, to now you decide who your wife or husband is based on if you two actually freaking like each other. But with choice comes responsibility, and as a man, this is the level I think that men are missing right now. They don't have the tools to win. You see, it's tough now because you don't just get a girl now because that's just because your parents pick her or because she's being pushed to do something. Now you got to earn a woman. You got to actually have skills. You got to actually make her want to be with you. And it's even harder now. And that's why we have this channel right now to help you guys. Because no matter how much whoever's listening, no matter how much you or your friends, it might not be you because if you're listening to this, you're probably a interesting guy. But your friends, they might think, oh, I don't need to learn nothing or I don't got to do that. All I got to say is look at their relationship. Look at their relationship. The proof is in the pudding. Because I'm telling you, he's either a slave to his girl, he's either always getting in and out of different relationships because they don't last, right?
Yep.
Or if he's in a long-term relationship, he's the feminine, and she takes on more of the masculine. He's the one that has to submit when it's all boils down to it. I was listening to Mike Tyson talk today, and he just brought up a couple of times. He was like, the only person he's afraid of is his wife, essentially. So that just goes to show you, even the most masculine, dominant, they'll go here and whip every guy's tail.
Exactly.
But when he goes home, he feels like putty. He's afraid of his own girl, and. You know why? Because mentally she's sharper than he is. She challenges him, and I feel like as men we haven't developed the skills to write. This is a new era. This is the first era.
This is a new era that we're stepping into this realm of thinking, this realm of being challenged. Imagine you've never got challenged before with a basketball. Imagine you never got challenged before with an Xbox. Imagine you never got challenged before with reading, and this was new. Imagine you never got challenged before with putting your shoe on and tying it. This is how males are operating on this way of thinking. They're like, hold on. I'm getting challenged in relationship shit. First of all, back in the day, if a girl tried to challenge me in a relationship stuff, I wouldn't even tolerate it because I will stick with logic and I will keep it pushing, and she will know not to step that boundary too much, because then guess what? You're not going to be able to eat. You don't have a roof over your head. You can't do anything business-wise because it's male-dominated. So guess what? All of that is taken away. I'm talking about so swiftly, right underneath your feet. Males don't even notice it today. That's what's happening.
That's huge, man.
That when they actually talking to the opposite sex, They know that unconsciously, but they don't know it consciously why they are reacting to the females how they're reacting, because like I said, now they know deep down inside he can't do anything to prevent her to go anymore. But then consciously he will play it off like he's the shit, or like he's grandiose, or he knows what he's doing, but deep down he's like, damn, nah, like if I make a wrong move, this girl's leaving because I know she genuinely does not desire me.
Bro, this is huge. I know pimps, man, in the game going through this right now. I'm talking about dudes high up in the totem pole of dealing with women on their terms. They still are scared because they can't take it there mentally with the girl. So they're in checkmate. It's a game of chess, and women figured out how to checkmate 99% of men. And, you know, it's very interesting, man, you know, because I look at it like a video game, right? I just thought about this while we were talking. You know, imagine, all right, it's fun playing Call of Duty, right? Or playing, you know, 2K. Like, I play 2K. I know most of you play Call of Duty, Modern Warfare. These games are fun because they're challenging, but they're challenging at the right level to where you want to keep playing, right? Because let's say as soon as you play Modern Warfare, the skill set is so high that, like, everybody's boom, 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 your shot. You play again, boom, your shot. You're like, bro, what the fuck? Like, I have to be perfect to even last in the game for 30 seconds. Eventually, you're going to say, you know what, fuck this game, because it's just too hard. Like, if I played 2K 100%. And the guys are playing so fucking good, stealing the ball from me.
Their defense is too on point.
It's too on point. I can't even get past half court. I'm not playing the game, right? And that's what's happening with women right now. Women are so they checkmated a lot of guys, but see, they're running with it to the point where they're not giving dudes even wiggle room. So, you know, they're like,
and can I pause here?
A lot of them.
Can I pause here?
Yeah.
The thing is, the female collective doesn't even know consciously what is happening either. That's the funny part. They just are reacting to what they can do.
Yes. Exactly.
Isn't that so potent? Isn't that so potent, bro? If I was a young man listening to this and I understood everything we were talking about, I'd be like, damn. Yeah. The next question is like, well, then how do I kind of maneuver through this reality if I do want a girl? And and you know, I want to have it at least balanced enough to, like, I know where a girl appreciates me for being a man.
Yes, because women have always challenged us for years. Our great-grandfathers were challenged. I mean, they've always been challenging us. But what happens when they challenge you so much, if you disagree with any point of, like, what they say or whatever, they're like, I don't want to hear it. What are you, this? And it's like now dudes are walking on eggshells. There's not even an opportunity to play the game. Oh, why are you touching my butt? Why are you looking at me? And that's not every woman. There's a lot of women that get what's going on. They're like, I don't really like this. You know, like, I want to be a girl still. Like, I want to still have a fun, playful battle. Some women don't. A lot of women are so, that I've understood, are so bitter because of negative past relationships and because of ideologies they've taken on due to certain situations. They don't want to deal with a man unless he just gives in, unless he just submits. If he does anything challenging, they feel triggered and they just run away.
They feel triggered,
They feel triggered and they don't want to play the game no more. So it just cuts off the game. So, whereas before it was this play, you know, it was like, all right, you know, you're giving me the energy. We're going to battle, but at some point I'm going to give in because that's what makes it cute. That's what makes it fun. It's like every movie we watch. It's a challenge.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
And at the end, it's like Mario, you know, you're killing dragons, you're doing this, you're doing that, and then you finally get to the princess because you earned her. You had to go through some resistance to get her. Like, the way I got my girl, it took a challenge, and that's what made it righteous. The way you got your girl, it was things that, and it will always be a challenge throughout the process. But is it a challenge to where I can't play at all, or unless I submit, and then I
exactly.
So you want me to be a woman,
or
is it
where she turning me off?
Yeah,
exactly. It's not a point where they should be turning you off. Like they'd be like,
oh man,
I don't need no man.
Play.
I cook. I don't even cook. Fuck you. Like I will never have a man's kid.
Yeah, it's like, why do I have to cook? You tell them, well, because blah, blah, blah. You know, like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not about to be in a relationship with a man where I got to cook. You need to have this. All right, hold on. You have such a narrative that's so strong. It's like that masculine energy we talked about. You know,
exactly.
it's so strong. There's no wiggle
So
room. Now
you want to hear something crazy? Can I ask?
Oh yeah, go ahead. Hell yeah.
You want to hear something crazy?
Yeah.
You know what women are doing right now? They're doing the exact same thing that males were doing to women.
Oh yeah, it's karma going on. I definitely see that. They're definitely
so like what I mean is like, you know, when a male was like, this is what a woman should be doing and this is how she should act. Yep. Women are doing that to males now and going, if you talk about this and you say this and you think I'm supposed to go, then I don't want you. Then whatever. Yeah. So now we're feeling the exact same energy that our ancestors or relatives before us have done to the women over the years, and women are doing it now to the men.
Hell
and
yeah.
It's a flip. And the thing is, males don't know what to do because again, we don't have that hand we can play where we're telling girls that they can't say those things or move like that because there's gonna be repercussions. There's no repercussion anymore. She could do whatever she wants. She could work wherever she wants. She can take care of herself however she wants. You know? And I kind of want to add this before we continue. It's the Robert Greene. I kind of want to read something.
Oh, yes, please do. Please do, man.
And this is the laws of the human nature. And let me read it here. And tell me if this doesn't sound like either both genders, like the male doing this when he doesn't know what he's doing, and the female doing this when she doesn't know what she's doing. So it says, the second law will make you a master interpreter of the cues that people continually emit, giving you a much greater ability to judge their character. Normally, if we pay attention to people's behavior, we are in a rush to fit their actions into categories and to hurry to conclusion, so we settle for the judgment that suits our own preconceptions, or we accept their self-serving explanations. The laws will rid you of this habit by making it clear how easy it is to misread people and how deceptive first impressions can be. You will slow yourself down, mistrust your initial judgment, and instead train yourself to analyze what you see. You will think in terms of opposites. When people overtly display some trait such as confidence or hypermasculinity, they are most often concealing the contrary reality. You will realize that people are continually playing to the public, making a show of being progressive and saintly, only to better disguise their shadow. You will see the signs of this shadow leaking out in everyday life. I'll pause there.
Oh, that's facts. Oh, go ahead, Jay. Explain that, bro. Oh, man.
So, you know, to even continue this conversation, that's what I see in both genders happening today. You will see a male be super hyper masculinity, right?
Yeah.
But the only thing he's really doing is concealing his pain or something he's not.
Yeah.
So if you see a super hyper masculine woman, that's even worse. Now she's concealing an obvious pain that, first of all, makes her hyper masculine.
Yeah.
Why are you hyper masculine and you a female? So we already tapping into some sort of pain that's never been entertained or healed or talked about or nurtured. And if we can obviously point the fingers and say a man's doing that, and a woman can do that naturally by just being in the position that they've been for so long, and they can point a man like that, why aren't they doing that with the women today?
Exactly.
Why aren't they pointing the fingers and be like, hey, sweetheart, you're being over hyper masculine? Because you remember, the only reason why you're being hyper over masculine is the same reason why you're doing the same thing to others. Like,
Exactly.
You know how it feels, but you're doing it to others.
Exactly.
So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, when I see that, and he mentions the only reason they're doing that is because that's their shadow side. So if I think about the term shadow side, I'm thinking about, oh shit, what's all the shit that's in the closet? Hold on. When we hit 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, by the time we get to 30, when have we ever even give a chance for our shadow side to come out and heal?
Exactly. Man.
When have we given each other, you know, the term I got skeleton in my closet? When have we given the chance to actually go to the closet and just reveal what's there? You get me? And come to an understanding with it versus just reacting on it based off emotion.
Mhm. Exactly.
And you know, that's what I'm starting to see on both sides of the polarity of each gender. And when you start to understand this as a male, this conversation should build confidence in you as a male if you understand what we're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
This should make you walk outside and be like, you know what? I know myself way more better than I knew myself an hour ago, just based off this conversation. And then I will walk outside, and guess what? The next girl I meet, I know she doesn't understand this about herself, or at least this aspect.
Yeah.
This aspect is a very rare conversation to have with a human being that's mentally healthy to be able to have this conversation. You get me?
Exactly.
To sit there with themselves and understand there's a male role, there's a female role. Obviously, my opposite sex likes when I play my role, and I like when she plays her role. But then there's stuff in between that needs some healing, and we can both see what that is. And we can, even now today, we can overtly, outside of us, see the representation of that, which is what we have today in our society when the two roles don't come into agreement for such a long time. You get me?
Exactly. So, man, I mean, this is huge because you just totally touching on the pain point behind this. And you ask yourself, man, what do you do in this climate? You know, and it takes me back to, you know, we kind of started off talking about the masculine energy and how you were delving into the feminine energy. And you know what's so funny is this. It takes both. And that's the beauty. You know, a lot of you guys have been too polarized on the feminine side of life for too long. You've been so passive. You know, everybody says their perspective except you. Everybody's standing on what they believe, and you're the one taking in all the different perspectives. You're the one in relationships with your girl, and she can run over you. You know, you're always empathizing with the other side all the time. You're always seeing things from her perspective. You're never looking at your perspective and how you feel. You're not selfish enough. You know, we got different teachers. Like, man, one thing I love about Bud, man, he's a dude that we've worked with and talked to. And he's like, bro, you got to be selfish. You know, he's giving you masculine energy. You got to be selfish. You got to be conceited. See, y'all haven't tapped into that. So you're not attractive. She walks on you. She plays games with you. You know, you've been on that side of the spectrum so long. You give in. You feel like you're helpless. You take what you can get. You haven't won in life. You haven't succeeded. You haven't had your way out there. Okay, then you got the other side. You're one-sided. You've been thinking things only from your perspective. You don't really care about what the people around you say. You don't really. It's always your way or the highway. You're very polarizing. You're very much off-putting at times. See, you get your way in a lot of cases, but you sacrifice a lot when you get your way a lot of the time because you crush other people in the path of you getting your way. It's not like you get your way and people feel a part of the movement. It's like you get your way and people feel like they're just getting stomped on. A lot of y'all are the type, y'all not open-minded enough. You don't want to learn enough. I already know everything already. You know, I'm only listening to somebody if they're making $1 million. Or you got to have a Benz and a Beamer for me to take your perspective. Oh, you got to be this archetype in my mind for me to respect what you got to say. Otherwise, you need to learn from me, right? Then you got that type of people. And if you're on both sides of the spectrum, you're gonna lose. You may, if you know, the masculine side might win on the front end, but they lose on the back end. The other side might lose on the front end all the time, but they might get little victories later on, but you're always losing on the front end. People don't have respect for you. See, the masculine side, people at least have respect for that archetype. So I'd rather have somebody be on the masculine side than the feminine side if we're talking about attraction. That's why most of your teachers out there, they're going to teach you the masculine energy side. They're not going to give you the balanced perspective because they're like, screw it. I'd rather have you be cocky, conceited, and approach and do what you want than being passive. Because just like I said in that quote that we talked about, Jay, you know, a woman will always find herself won by the person that is impetuous versus the person that, you know, is flexible, that is malleable. Because she at least can respect the masculine energy that you provide. She still has to respect that because you stand on what you believe. And that's still an attractive quality. But it's still not the end game. See, back in the day, that was the end game. Just being this macho man, Randy Savage. You know, that was what mattered. But now, that's not the same woman in the world no more. You don't just win no more being that guy that just busts the door down and everything goes my way and I don't want to hear none of that stuff, mama.
Because you remember at that point, that man had a leverage behind it called survival.
Exactly.
So if that man walking around breaking doors, not giving a fuck, punching the wall, doing whatever he wants, being, you know, the macho man he is, and he goes, yo, you better choose me.
Exactly.
Today, that's not happening.
Mm-hmm.
The next question is the next question is going like, okay, you just busted down the door. Why'd you do that? What do you mean?
Exactly.
I had to choose you. Like, who do you think you are? You get me?
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
I can pay for my own stuff.
Exactly.
You get me?
Exactly.
I can pay for my own stuff.
You're patriarchal. They didn't deal with that in the 70s. They're like, it's patriarchal. They was like, what the fuck are you talking about, patriarch? Get the fuck out.
I got a family. I'm trying to eat.
Yeah, like,
I got kids with this man.
You know, nowadays you say patriarchal, and yeah, we know what that means. And you better be careful because if you keep trying to be all strong, you might have the whole building turn on your ass and you know, have society shame the hell out of you. You got to be careful now because you get shamed for being too masculine out here, not caring about what a woman thinks. So now men are like, oh shit, what do we do? And now we're talking about the next level of man. And what is that? And that's what we're talking about. Jay is showing you, look, bro.
Exactly.
I'm not trying to be stuck on that masculine wave. And he's exploring that feminine side. We've explored the masculine side because we've tapped into
for such a long time.
Before, you know?
For such a long time.
And
we've explored that part for such a long time. I started to understand the reality of it. And what do I mean by that? I started to understand that there's something happening, and it's been happening before I was even here. And it was just the evolution of, being in the present moment, being in time, allowing life to happen the way it happens. And what I started to understand is there's kind of a hidden part. You know, just me having a big family, and especially with a lot of women in my family, there's a hidden part of women that can never open up because the man has never tapped into his softer side or his feminine side to open up to that level of emotion.
Exactly.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That level of emotion takes energy like logic takes energy. And a lot of men rather not open to that energy because then guess what? It's like you're experiencing it. It's annoying. It's bothersome. It's like doing a workout without doing a workout. That's how I feel like emotion is for most men. They're like, I'm not even working out. Why do I want to go through all this emotion that I don't want to feel or understand? If I could just put it to the side, you get me? If I could just put it away in my closet. But guess what? We as men seen and also feel the consequence of keeping skeletons in our closet. So if I keep all my skeletons and all my pain in my closet, guess what? When I find a girl, and most of you men, I know y'all could even barely get women. I'm gonna be honest. It's already a problem. So by the time you get your girl, you got all this pain, this baggage, and now you don't even know it's about to be unleashed and released to her unconsciously. And now you thinking you doing great, you thinking you're doing well, but then all she's doing is receiving that baggage, and then you don't even know how to handle that baggage, because when she comes up to you and she goes, hey, I feel like there's something wrong here. I feel like, the way you act when I bring this up in our relationship, because that's what a relationship does. A relationship, you guys have things you disagree on because you both are figuring each other out. So imagine you're in a relationship with a woman and you're starting to unreveal each other's boundaries. Discomfort happens, rejection happens, disagreements happen. So then all of that gets put in that baggage with all the baggage you're carrying, all the baggage she's carrying, and then both of y'all come together, a big explosion happens, and now one of y'all just don't care because one of the parties is that low in life where they just don't care. They just rather feel that comfort being with somebody. Or B, well, before I go to B, that person just naturally becomes submissive. And I'm starting to understand it's not even a gender thing. It's just a human being thing. You a male and you just start to submit to your girl because you just don't give a fuck, and you can't get another girl, and you don't have that abundance mentality, and you gave up in life. Or B, you're a girl and you just let a dude do whatever, because then same thing. You don't have the abundance mentality. You don't care about life, and this is the best thing you could get. So might as well just stick to it.
Exactly.
And when people get to that point, then I really truly understand that it's coming from that aspect of both of them. Number one, not understanding their nature and the authority they have of just being whatever gender, whatever role they think they should be playing as a spirit. Because you're a spirit. You're a human being. This is your only existence. You have all the authority and all the respect you should be getting by just being a human being and an individual. So when we come from this aspect, then you start to, if you can, develop a higher aspect. Okay, there's an opposite of me. How should I respect him? First of all, if you don't understand that person is having a whole different emotional, sexual, and physical experience in you, then you're not really understanding yourself, because you should be understanding that you're about yourself on the deep level that has nothing to do with gender.
Beautiful. Yep.
That has
we are being forced to grow up right now. That's what the hell is happening.
Yeah, that
as a being, especially men.
Both beings.
Both.
And we're both of them, because girls are now being forced. I think I'm not gonna lie, bro. I think girls might have it a little bit more of a challenge on their growing than males. The only reason why
now they're learning to have to deal with masculine energy, and a lot of them don't know how to deal with that power. They're learning that they can be destructive.
Exactly, and you just took the words right out of my mouth. I think that's what's happening. A woman's going, damn, I could be destructive whenever I want. I could do whatever I want. I could literally do whatever I want right now. And girls, like some girls are having very, very dualistic, battles within themselves.
That's
going,
true. It is hard.
damn, I can follow all my desires, or I could be a righteous person. You get me?
Yes.
And males are learning how to be humble.
Yes.
If you are attractive, or males are learning how to be more masculine when you're too comfortable.
Yes.
And I see the battle between it. Like, there's a girl learning that she can take herself to any level because she just has the upper hand, and I could see a man, and I'm talking about majority of men, seeing themselves and what they need to improve in besides survival. They're like, fuck, I can't just rely on survival. I gotta actually wear a bucket hat. I gotta actually wear a snapback. I gotta actually get a haircut. I gotta actually, have some hygiene. I gotta actually hit the gym. I gotta actually, have some hobbies now.
Yeah.
Versus back in the day, a mouthpiece. I gotta learn how to talk. I gotta like good music. When I think of an attractive man, I think of an overall man that has a lot of aspects about himself that if any woman would lovely explore, she wouldn't get enough of.
Yes, she wouldn't get bored. She wouldn't figure him out in 2 seconds.
Exactly.
He has depth. He has range.
Versus a guy, the only thing he could bring is his job.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, today I went to work and it was a hard day, and at least I got through it, and that's it. That's like the only level that they could bring it to. So
you respect
women
me
are
because
going.
I'm a man.
Women are going, I'm tired of marrying that man. I need something more. Like, come on, you need to be a human too. You can't just be a guy that's like depending on your own survival and then that's it. And like I said, we've never been put in this position before.
Yes.
And it's very difficult because that's embedded in every male's DNA.
Oh yeah, look at the caveman days. They was just taking what they wanted. There was no conversation. There was no deep thought. It took us getting to a point of intelligence to even have women get us to submit to the ideologies that allowed men in general to not be so controlling. Like we had to logically be like, yeah, you know what, that's actually wrong. Just like slavery, just like everything else. It took
exactly.
To be like, damn, we can't just make people do what we want them to do. That's fucked up.
So it's we have now stepped in the era where we're tapping out of our physical thought process by force. Yes. So we're not caught up in the physical and survival so much, which keeps us in the physical, and that's our thought process. Now we're going beyond it. We're going like, why when someone gets what you want, you become jealous? Like there's something wrong with you. Like now we're telling people the things that we should have told people in the caveman days that there's something wrong with them. They're telling people now. Like, say in the caveman days, I stole your rock and you got mad. And today we'll be like, you're an angry person. You're envious or, whatever the case may be. I'm it's not into the example, but what I'm trying to get to is like, back in the caveman days, like they wouldn't even look at that situation as an issue. They're just like, oh, okay, they're fighting, whatever. Versus today, it's labeled ADHD or something here. Versus the cavemen, if they were just staring at a rock, or our ancestors were just outside in the wilderness, in the middle of nowhere, Africa, Egypt, the sand, the islands, and they were just staring at a rock or a plant for 2 hours straight. Like it was not a problem. But all of a sudden, we have time to label stuff now, and then we're seeing that oh, there's a whole nother world within our communication that we have with each other individually. We're seeing that, oh, hold on, if I look at a man's girl a certain way, he will get offensive. That's a new terminology. That's a new way of, like, human beings have been exploring for such a long time. They're going like, hold on, like, what is this aspect that, say we were in a state of survival, you wouldn't be able to look at that part of the human. You get me?
Exactly.
So
this is all
now we're
example of our evolution. Yes, go ahead.
That's an example of our evolution. So we're now in the part of the evolution where females now don't need survival from men. And we've never been in this part of our evolution as the male species before.
Yes.
And all we're doing, and I know what one of my job is as a male that studies this on purpose, because I know a bunch of males that don't study this. And even though I may give him some aspects and I may try to help him with some perspectives on how to view relationships, none of them will ever look this way because it's like, why would I? You know? And I get it from a deep level because, again, why would any male look at school of thought of relationships, of women, of gender roles, of seduction? Because, again, that's never a level that males had to do in the first place to survive. So if it's not a survival thing through the evolution, it's not of a significance of importance. You get me? So if it's not a significance of importance, I'm telling men today that it is. And this is one of the most potent art forms that you can start to understand in the early age. Yes. And when you start to understand this art form in the early stages, and I'll say it's still in the baby stages. You get me? Mm-hmm. And when you start to understand it in its true form and what the good and bad and where it originated and how we can better implement it into our society to benefit men instead of hinder them or make it seem weird. I'm saying listen to these podcasts. You feel me? Yeah. These tools in here will definitely help you, because when you look at how to come at a woman, you're looking at it from such a dualistic standpoint. Yeah, that it's a no-brainer of like, oh, bet, like I understand the pain the woman's going through, and then at the same time I understand the pain I'm going through, but then how can the seduction benefit both of us at the same time?
Yeah, and see that's why the old community died. The community before, where they were teaching men how to approach women and get women, it's it's still there, but it's very at a low point now because things have evolved, and that's so one-sided. And what we bring to the table with these new levels of teachings is we touch on the things you need to keep that masculine frame. We're not telling you get beta now and be all empathetic to everything women are doing.
Exactly.
But at the same time, we're not going to give you just one side anymore, because you have to be balanced with this game now. Because if you're too one-sided, you're not going to operate correctly in this timeline. You're going to fail. You're going to look what happened with the RSD community, man. I don't want to have to throw any blow up at them, but one of the leaders of that community, at one point, he was coming from a frame, and if you don't know, that was just a community where they were very popular when it came to talking about attraction and getting women and getting women to be with you one night lays. It was very male achievement oriented, like get laid fast. It was just speaking to men, and it was totally just it was missing an element of where women mattered, because women a lot of the time they don't want to just get laid by, and then they're getting laid by guys that wouldn't even be the real deal. It was very much one-sided motivated. And what it caused was when things got to an extreme and that person was in that frame at such an extreme level, he crumbled and had to apologize, had to go on national television apologizing. And from that point, that whole organization began to fall apart, because it was too one-sided. And exactly that the balance now is key. We're still going to tell you from a masculine frame, because you got to still have that masculine energy. They did a lot of things right. That's the point. You don't throw everything into the garbage.
Exactly. 100%.
Those things still had applicable things. They're teaching guys how to tap into masculine energy, because guys have operated with feminine energy for too long. But now, we're now tapping into the mental, and that's the next level. Because you can get laid all day, but if you're missing that mental element of understanding both worlds of masculine and feminine energy, if you can't tap into both, you're going to become too polarizing. And once you become too polarizing, you're going to destroy yourself, because now the force of women in totality is going to drop on you, because it's too much, especially when you have a society right now that's geared towards protecting them. You're going to fail. And that's what we bring to the table, man. I want the guys out there to be confident in their masculine energy. I want you to hold your masculine frame, but I don't want you to be blinded by your masculine frame. And this is the balance that I'm talking. But I don't want you to be blinded by your feminine energy either, where you're
and honestly, The answer is most men are blinded by their feminine.
Yes, they
Most.
are. Yes, they are.
Most.
That's the crazy thing.
And I'll say the guys that are blinded by their masculine, like, you gotta learn you know, how to listen and the keys and the principles to listening. Like, when I say listen, a lot of guys will probably walk away and be like, all right, bet, like, he just told me to listen. All right, I'm going to try to work on that today. No, you need to understand the principles of listening. When you understand the principles of listening, something shifts, because while you're listening to key things to do while listening. And like, those are things that, again, we are in a new era. We're in a new chapter in life. This chapter in life is about thoughts.
Yeah.
It's about thinking.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the mind. The old chapter was all about the physicality. How are we going to eat? Where are we going to sleep? How are we going to survive? Where are we going to stay? Where do we call home? You know, and
Exactly.
this is different. It's all we even got so mental. We got a thing called the metaverse.
Oh man.
You get me? Like it's not about that much survival. And when you can go, okay, bet I really have to deal with some shadow shit, the shadow side of myself, the darker side of myself that maybe when I was younger I had to ignore because I never told anybody or I was scared of. That's the time to actually spill it out to someone and talk to them about it. Exactly. And to see why or how that has affected you, you know, as you age, the older you are. Because guess what? You're having a relationship with everything outside of you. And if something inside of you is off, then what is outside of you, you're going to have a misinterpretation of. You're going to come at it a little bit more biasly. You get me?
Mhm. Exactly. And this is powerful, man.
Yeah, go ahead.
This episode was very important, man. I guess it would be a good time for to share our last points, I guess. You know, and I guess if I was to say mine, first and foremost, this conversation is extremely important because we're gonna get to talking more of the game, more of the attraction, more of you getting the girl in your room and whatever you want to do, you know. But this is what matters more than that.
Exactly.
You can have a girl in your bed all day, but if you can't keep her there,
if you don't understand this aspect,
if you don't understand this, bro, you're setting yourself up to get hurt. You're setting yourself up. You're playing with dangerous territory. You don't even need to be dealing with women if you don't understand what we talked about today. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong. You can deal with women just to learn the game, but you know,
that's levels.
There's levels to the shit. You know,
and most men, I know they want to have a long term girl. You know. The point is to have a long term partner, because at the end of the day it's about foundation. Exactly. And what we're breaking down right here, I guess this is my last, you know, couple sayings before we get off the line, is that it's all about foundation. This is foundation to all the outer things you can do when you start to learn about technique and things you can, you know, do with, you know, game on the outside. And, you know, back in the day in the community, we used to call it inner game. There was inner game, there was outer game. The outer game was just a representation of how strong your inner game was. You get me? And a lot of men today need the inner game. I feel like more they need the outer game.
Yeah, you're right, bro. That outer game was really, that's all it was about. I'd say for like 10 years for real. Like that's what the whole community was built on, was outer game. It was never about any depth. It was just like, here's how you act in a certain way to get this objective result, which people say. It wasn't about long-term companionship. It was about A plus B equals C. You want sex? That's C. It's not you want relationships. No, you want sex. Okay, it's A plus B. A equals alpha. B is boom. And now it's like, bro, it's not, you know, that's the baby part of the game. You know?
That's the baby part.
Don't get me wrong, that's still important because as we can see
by the statistics, But
most guys
I feel like it's not as important if girls are over here throwing butt all around to everybody. Then
yeah,
like that's not even the
the sex side is really big right now. I'm not gonna lie, bro. Most dudes ain't getting laid, which is crazy.
Yeah,
most dudes aren't getting laid, and
I guess I keep looking at it from the abundant side.
yeah, no bullshit. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, yo, most dudes aren't fucking getting laid, and it's like, yo, but at the same time, if you got to know both, because honestly, at this point, it's kind of crazy. It's like, if you don't know the inner game, you're still not about to get laid. Like, women are more perceptive now. Like, back then, those little tricks used to work. Now you actually got to be sharp to get laid. Like, you're not just, and the numbers prove it. Like, 30%, used to be 10% of men didn't have sex.
Right.
Between 18 and 30.
It's 30.
It's 30%. Those numbers might seem light, but that's literally going from, let's say in America, there's 250 million people, 125 million men. That means it went from being, let's say, 12.5 million men to 12.5 to damn near 40 million men out of 125 million men that ain't had sex. That's damn near 1/3 almost of all men are not getting laid last year, bro.
Yeah.
So right now, man, dudes need to go out there, and that's something we'll touch on maybe in the next episode, because I do want to touch on. You guys gotta go. Like, y'all need to go after the woman you want, but at the same time, we have to touch on the climate, because shit ain't sweet, right? It's like we'll touch on that next episode, but this one is much more important in the sense of this has to do with life. This has to do with society.
Yeah.
This has to do with this involves game, and it's beyond game, and hope you guys learned a lot. And my main thing is this, man. Look, right now, a lot of men, a lot of women, we're dealing with a new energy. But to go back to women, the one thing I say is this, man. Regardless of what's going on, women still serve their initial purpose, which for the male, at least one of their purposes from the male perspective, which is they push us to be better. And, I feel like men have built the whole world and created all these inventions and did all of this. And some of that reason has been because of women, because they want to survive, feed their families. And now they've created a world and a society that's so advanced, women don't even need men anymore, right, to survive. So now it's pushing men to the next level. Like, oh, shit, okay, so that side is handled. So what do I do now? Well, now this is the new level for you to tap into. And what I say is this, to give guys the final piece from my side, and you can say what you're going to say, Jay. You want to embody what is attractive. And I would suggest, I know me and Jay seen this movie. Watch that movie, A Streetcar Named Desire, because to this day, I think he embodied masculine energy in such a beautiful way in that movie. Because that energy is always going to be, in my opinion, what a woman is sexually attracted to, because of how he can hold his masculine frame, and he doesn't compromise it for sex. He doesn't compromise it to get the girl. He sticks to that frame of masculine energy. But you get to see how it bites him in the ass as well, right?
Right, exactly.
He's so masculine, but you see how attractive his archetype is, right? I want y'all to first see that archetype and see, okay, I want to embody this masculine energy. But then I want you to now do that while consciously understanding everything we talked about in this episode, which is the feminine energy of things, which is the understanding, the bigger picture, and what you'll find is the keys to the new man. You have the skills, you have the masculine energy skills of that archetype, that indifference, that power, that focus, that drive, that you're not swayed by just her looks. You're in your masculine frame. But at the same time, if she tries to challenge you mentally, you're sharp. You got the Patrice skills. You got the ability to take her to that next mental level. And this is why we're sharing this game with you, because you can't deal with a woman on a certain level if you don't know this game. And that's what we're saying now. It's not just about being the hunk. You got to be the hunk, and you got to be able to go there mentally with a woman. Well, she has to respect you mentally. And if you handle both, then you're the man right now that's going to win, period. And go ahead, Jay. Let them know your last words, man.
I mean, you said it the best, bro. I like the way you just put it. You can't be a Johnny Bravo. When I heard you say that,
point.
you can't be a Johnny Bravo. The Johnny Bravo, the women are tired of. They're tired of the guys that are idiots.
Yeah. Exactly. Johnny Bravo in 1970 would have been dynamic.
Yep. Exactly. When I say women are tired of the idiots, they're tired of even the guys that they are sexually desirable in their eyes too. They're tired of them and their stupidity, of them not being able to meet them the level at emotion. You see, the funny part is we want a girl to meet us at the level of logic, but are we ready to meet them at that level of emotion?
Yes.
So I guess that's what I'm ending with. That's already fire enough.
This is beautiful. This is the council. Once again.
Very powerful stuff. Very powerful stuff.
Amen. You know, man, make sure to like and subscribe, and make sure to soak this game up, man. You know, and if you want to reach out to us, you can email us at your5dtransformations@gmail.com. You'll see that link in the bio.
If you want to share it with your friends, if you want to share it with your family, you know, don't hesitate. You know, share it with people. Yeah. If they don't want to hear it, they don't want to hear it. But if you feel like it's definitely a point of interest of what someone might be intrigued to listening, definitely, you know, send them our way.
Definitely. And aside from that, man, we're going to sign out, man. We'll be back with some more game. You know, we're going to hit the field. We're going to hit the streets, man. We're going to tap in. We're going to collect, and we're going to come back with some gold, man. We appreciate y'all listening, and we'll holler at y'all later, man. It's the council.
All right. Yes, sir.
All right. Peace.